Hey everybody, it's Anthony from ComicsHeatingUp.net. I'm doing my Baltimore Comic-Con Friday wrap-up. Friday was the first day of Baltimore Comic-Con, and it started out kind of slow, to be honest with you. It was really weird that it was so not crowded. Now, I got to meet a bunch of great people, and a bunch of ComicsHeatingUp.net followers and people who watch the videos came up and talked to me, which I always love. But it was really cool that I got to meet a lot of you guys, so I always appreciate that. In addition to it, I got to meet a lot of cool spec guys, other guys who do kind of the same kind of stuff. Of course, I got to see Mel V. Mel V from not only ComicsHeatingUp.net, but he also does the Unpressable Defects podcast, which is a great show if you guys haven't listened to it. So needless to say, it was cool. The vibe was definitely cool. I'm walking around in punk rock t-shirts, and every other guy in his 40s was like, oh, hey, great shirt, you know. So that's always fun. You know, I'm a guy who likes comic books, horror movies, and punk rock. So, you know, it's always neat to talk about those things. So the con itself was really slow. There was times that you could literally roll a bowling ball down the center of the convention and not hit one person. It was really not crowded. You can see in these videos how kind of sparse the people were. And I don't know if it was because, you know, the weather here in Baltimore has been kind of crappy, or the fact that New York Comic Con's coming up next week and people are saving their money for that. So it was really kind of a weird vibe in the fact that there were not that many people there, and retailers were just definitely feeling it. I did get to see one of my favorite retailers, a guy named Jason Hamlin. He carries a lot of small press and indie books that you don't see anywhere else, and I always like stopping by his table and seeing what he's got. He had some early Creatures of the Id, early Mike Allred stuff, the Madman stuff that you don't see much anymore. So I was checking out his table. He had a really cool, it was like a promo copy of Amazing Spider-Man 300 that was sent out, and this is an old school, like, facsimile paper, like, really weird, and, you know, you can definitely check it out here, but this thing's, like, one of a kind. He's like, most retailers didn't keep them, and he was lucky enough to find a copy of it. He just wished that he could get it graded, because, you know, CGC is not going to grade something that's basically Xerox paper. But it was really cool to see this and just, like, flip through it, and it was full bleed art. So not only did you get the art, but you got the comments written on the outside. So it was really neat to see. Now, I didn't end up picking up a whole lot of comic books. I kind of picked and chose of what I was buying. I didn't really have a fixed budget, and I really didn't know what I was going in to buy this week. One of the things I did want to do was go see Brian Azzarello, who was signing Batman Damned. He was charging $50 just to sign it. He had, you know, a lower price if he was signing other books, but it was a $50 price point just to sign the comic. So I honestly, I just passed over it. You know, it was cool. He didn't have a line when I walked by, but he had a line most of the day, and most of the people were, you know, forking over $50 to get Batman Damned signed. Batman Damned was clearly a hot book. It was selling for $75 to $100 at the convention, so it was going a little bit above eBay prices right now. But, you know, people were trading copies like you wouldn't believe. They were selling like crazy. One of the things I did pick up is Nora from Source Point Press. I really like Source Point Press and the guys that run it. It's a cool little company, very small press. But Nora was recently picked up by Shoreline Entertainment. I got to talk to the writer Casey Pierce, and she was super cool. I loved picking up sketchbooks, so I picked up Carpe Nectum by Joseph Schmalke. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Really cool guy. He's got a book coming out from Scout Comics, and I do love Scout Comics. And a special shout out to Scout for hooking me up with my pass this year. Really, my big purchase this year was the set of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. These are the original size reprints that Frankie's Comics put out. They were a con special. They had the, this was a Mike Velasquez cover that Clayton Crane colored. They had the original Eastman Laird cover, which this is the same size as my my original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that's kind of what makes it so cool. Clayton Crane also had a special cover, and there was the black and white Mike Velasquez cover. The set was $60, really not bad. I mean, at $15 a book, I got Clayton Crane and Mike Velasquez to sign my copies, so I was pretty happy with that. They were definitely like cool guys to talk to, but Frankie's definitely stop by if you're at Baltimore and check out their Turtles variants and all their other variants. Like I said, I didn't pick up a ton of comics, but one thing I did pick up was the Umbrella Academy Dallas #1. This is the Jim Lee variant. These sell for anywhere like $15, $20 on eBay. I picked it up for 75 cents. It was in an independent box for 75 cents. Couldn't believe it, so I grabbed it. You know, let them keep the quarter as that. And the other cheap purchase that I made, and this is kind of, I don't know. It's just one of those things. I do love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I got a number 5 CGC'd, 6.5. Not the best grade, but I paid $20 for a slab. I just couldn't pass it up. It was one of those things that was kind of a whim buy. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 5 for $20. Like I said, I just couldn't pass it up. The last thing I picked up is pretty cool. This came from a company called The Horror Box. They do subscription boxes, quarterly subscription boxes that are horror themed. I'm a huge horror guy. So they had the signed Jason masks by Warrington Gillette. He was the second Jason, the first Jason on screen that got a kill. So I couldn't pass it up. I paid a decent price for it. But I love signed movie memorabilia. And granted, this is not like screen worn or anything, but to have, a Jason mask signed by one of the guys who played Jason is definitely something that I found cool and definitely wanted in my collection. And I love walking down Artist Alley and checking out all the things that are not necessarily comic book related, but are, kind of cool things. And I found one guy who did wood carvings of horror icons. And I came across this table, and it was so cool. I'm going to go back and buy the Crimson Ghost that you see in this picture here tomorrow. It was one of those things I didn't want to carry it around all day. And by the time I got back to go buy it, they were pushing the crowds out the door because it was so close to 7 o'clock. So I'm going to go by and see him tomorrow. His information's down here if you want to check out more of his stuff. Because if you see these silk screens, what he does is he spray paints silk screens. So he does individual silk screens for each color, spray paints them, moves the screen, puts the next screen on, spray paints that color in. And it's really detailed work, and it looks really cool. And it just really popped. So I couldn't pass it up. I regret not getting it today, but I'm going back to get it tomorrow. So that's it for day one. Pretty quiet day. Like I said, it was really empty in the Comic-Con. And retailers and artists were all saying it. It was just kind of a slow day. So that's it from Baltimore Comic-Con, guys, and ComicSeatingApp.net. Thank you for watching.